The roots of the cycle. In 1968, Sam was born into tragedy. His mother passed away just hours after his birth, leaving him in the care of his father, a kind man consumed by grief. At 17, Sam's life took another dark turn. He lost his father in a car accident. Without a family, Sam withdrew from the world, finding solace only in a stray cat he named Pete, who would become his loyal companion. When it seemed Sam was destined to live alone, a professor, an old friend of his father, appeared as a savior. The professor took Sam in, offering him not only a home, but a new family. Rico, the professor's adopted daughter, became the sister Sam never had. Together, they shared moments of warmth and laughter, often centered around Pete's playful antics, which brightened their home. However, the professor harbored secrets behind his kind demeanor. He and Sam's father had worked on classified technological projects in the past, some of which were hidden away in a vault in the professor's home lab. Sam, driven by his fascination with technology, began exploring these old projects, even though he didn't fully understand their significance. A tragedy that shapes destiny. Years passed, and Sam threw himself into the study of mechanical engineering. Rico, growing up alongside him, pursued her passion for the arts, but remained close to her brother. Then, tragedy struck again. Their adoptive parents died in a plane crash. Once again, Sam's world was turned upside down. Rico was sent abroad to continue her education, while Sam, now an adult, decided to pursue the projects left behind by his father and the professor. By 1995, Sam had become a renowned engineer, working alongside Kazuto, a partner in his company, to develop advanced robots. But what truly captivated Sam was his work on a plasma battery, a groundbreaking invention that could power machines for decades without needing a recharge. The project consumed him, becoming both his lifeline and his obsession. Rin, Sam's assistant and romantic partner, seemed to be the emotional anchor he needed. However, Rico never trusted her. Rico's suspicions grew when Rin suggested that Sam transfer some of his company shares to her. Naive and hopeful, Sam agreed, believing it would strengthen their relationship. Little did he know he was putting his trust in the wrong person. The betrayal unveiled. Kazuto, in collusion with Rin, planned to sell the rights to Sam's creations, including his father's legacy and the plasma battery. The betrayal came to light during a shareholders' meeting when Rin voted against Sam. The blow was devastating. When Sam returned home, he found his lab completely stripped, its equipment confiscated on orders from the company. Meanwhile, Rico, determined to help her brother, went to Kazuto's house. There she overheard the truth. Rin and Kazuto not only stole the projects, but had also planted a bomb in Sam's house to eliminate him entirely. Horrified, Rico fled to warn Sam, but Kazuto, realizing she knew too much, began chasing her. The end that almost was. Rico, now racing against time, felt her heart pounding as she ran from Kazuto's mansion. What she had overheard wasn't just a betrayal, it was a death sentence. For Kazuto, planting the bomb was merely a way to tie up loose ends, ensuring that no one could challenge their control over Sam's inventions. When Rico arrived at Sam's house, she found him sitting quietly, drinking and staring at the Cryosleep capsule he had prepared. To her shock, he was ready to leave everything behind. Bursting through the door, she shouted, "Sam, we have to leave now! They've planted a bomb!" At first, Sam hesitated, thinking she was exaggerating. But the urgency in her voice convinced him. Together, they ran outside just as the explosion ripped through the house, throwing them to the ground. Flames consumed everything Sam had left. It wasn't just a material loss. It was the symbolic destruction of everything he once held dear. As Sam looked at Rico, now bruised and shaken but determined, he realized he couldn't keep running. He couldn't retreat into Cryosleep and abandon the only family he had left. It was time to fight back. The leap into the future. After ensuring Rico was safe, Sam decided to proceed with the Cryosleep plan. But this time, his motivation was different. He wasn't running away, he was seeking answers. Before entering the capsule, he transferred all his remaining shares to Rico, ensuring she had something to hold on to. When Sam woke up in 2025, the world was unrecognizable. Floating buildings dotted the skyline, autonomous vehicles filled the streets, and humanity had embraced technology in ways he couldn't fathom. But the greatest shock came when he met Pete. Not the cat he had left behind, but a highly advanced robot that bore his old companion's personality. Pete, equipped with cutting-edge artificial intelligence, revealed that he had been created by none other than Sam himself, at some point in the future. This revelation shook Sam to his core. It meant that, despite everything, he had managed to achieve the impossible. But how? And why didn't he remember? The truth with Professor Toy. Sam followed the instructions left by Pete and arrived at a modest building on the outskirts of the city. Upon entering, he was greeted by Professor Toy, an eccentric but brilliant scientist who acted as though they had known each other for years. The professor's enthusiasm was infectious, but Sam was confused. How could this man know him so well when they had never met before? Professor Toy wasted no time in explaining. Decades ago, in 1995, a future version of Sam had approached him with a substantial amount of money and detailed instructions to build a machine capable of bending the fabric of time itself. A time machine. The future Sam had told him that this project was vital, not just for scientific progress, but for ensuring the stability of a very specific timeline. Sam listened intently, trying to process the idea that he was both the instigator and the result of a complex chain of events. Toy revealed that Sam's life was entangled in what is known as a bootstrap paradox. Every major event in his life, his successes, his failures, and even the creation of the time machine, depended on actions taken by his future self. It was a self-sustaining loop, a paradox where the origin of certain events was impossible to pinpoint. The professor explained that this was why Sam didn't remember creating the time machine or even building Pete. Those actions had been taken by another version of himself. The enormity of this revelation weighed heavily on Sam. His very existence was tied to this paradox. If any part of the cycle failed, his timeline, and possibly his life, could cease to exist. Despite the overwhelming complexity, one thing was clear. Sam needed to fulfill his role in the cycle, to ensure that everything unfolded as it should. As Sam absorbed the truth, Toy handed him a notebook filled with diagrams, formulas, and notes, written in his own handwriting, though he had no memory of writing them. These notes contained the key to completing the mission. Armed with this knowledge, Sam realized that he was not just a pawn in the cycle, but also its architect. It was up to him to preserve the timeline and close the loop. With Pete by his side and the guidance of Professor Toy, Sam prepared to return to 1995. This time he would ensure that every event, every decision, and every sacrifice served its purpose in preserving the fragile balance of the paradox. Closing the cycle. With the revelations from Professor Toy still fresh in his mind, Sam felt a mixture of awe and dread. The responsibility of maintaining the timeline was heavier than anything he had ever faced. He wasn't just living his life, he was orchestrating a loop that defined his existence. The notebook given to him by the professor, filled with his own handwriting from a future he hadn't yet lived, became his guide. Sam knew that every action had to align perfectly with the events that had already unfolded. Armed with knowledge, he stepped into the time machine with Pete, the robotic companion that symbolized both his past and future. In moments, Sam found himself back in 1995, 2 days before the explosion that would nearly destroy everything. Sam's first priority was ensuring that his younger self survived. Following the notes in the journal, he went to his old house under the cover of darkness. From a safe distance, he watched as Rin drugged his younger self and prepared to force him into cryosleep. At the precise moment, Sam intervened, revealing himself briefly to Pete, the cat version, and whisking the feline away before disappearing into the shadows. As he relocated the unconscious version of himself to the cryosleep capsule at a secure location, Sam reflected on how surreal it felt to be both the victim and the savior in his own story. He realized this wasn't just about completing a cycle. It was about ensuring his legacy, his family, and his future. With the younger Sam safely out of harm's way, it was time to deal with Rin and Kazuto. Working alongside Ronald, who had been his father's collaborator, Sam orchestrated a plan to dismantle their operation. Using the notebook's detailed notes and Pete's advanced capabilities, they hacked into Kazuto's systems, uncovering incriminating evidence of embezzlement, fraud, and their plan to eliminate Sam. The next step was using this evidence to expose them. While Ronald worked to anonymously send the files to law enforcement and the media, Sam prepared for a final confrontation. He knew that confronting them directly was dangerous, but it was necessary to ensure they wouldn't interfere again. Sam returned to his old lab, now commandeered by Rin and Kazuto. As he entered, the two were taken aback by his presence, believing he had already been neutralized. Rin, always quick with manipulation, tried to convince him that her actions were for the greater good, claiming she had only betrayed him to unlock his true potential. Sam wasn't swayed. Instead, he revealed that their crimes were already public knowledge. Panic overtook Kazuto as law enforcement surrounded the building, alerted by Ronald's timely uploads. In a desperate act, Rin attempted to destroy the lab using a self-destruct mechanism they had installed. As alarms blared and the countdown to destruction began, Sam and Pete worked quickly to disable the system. Pete, ever loyal, made the ultimate sacrifice. Using its own core, the robotic companion overloaded the self-destruct sequence, shutting it down but destroying its primary systems in the process. Sam carried Pete's lifeless body out of the lab as the authorities arrested Rin and Kazuto. Despite the bittersweet victory, Sam knew this moment would reverberate through the timeline, ensuring the events he had witnessed in the future came to pass. Returning to 2025, Sam found a world transformed. The plasma battery, perfected by his future self and completed by his past actions, had revolutionized energy consumption, ending humanity's dependence on fossil fuel. Robots based on his designs were being used to rebuild communities and provide aid in ways he had only dreamed of. Rico, alive and thriving, joined Sam in leading a new era of innovation. Together they honored the legacy of their parents and the sacrifices made along the way. Even Pete, now restored with updated components, stood by their side, a reminder of the resilience that carried them through the darkest times. Sam looked out at the horizon, not as a man trapped in a paradox, but as someone who had embraced it. The cycle was complete, but the future was now his to shape. If this mind-bending story of time, travel and paradoxes captivated you, don't miss our next video. It's now appearing on the card in this final screen. Click now and continue exploring the mysteries of time and space.